Alright guys, I just got back from school, but more importantly, I just got back from UK Nationals, and I got top 16, which was very cool. So I got this. Yeah. Although this doesn't prove I got top 16, that only proves I got top 128 or whatever. Yeah, I did. I really did. I got top 16, which I'm very happy about because it's my first top at a big event. So, well, big. I mean, it wasn't as big as a YCS. Had around like 500 people there, I think. So not big as a YCS at all. But in terms of rounds that I've played, just varying from events, it's a couple rounds less than a YCS. So it's still a big event. Like I'm not diminishing it. It was a very competitive event, and it was my first top at such an event. So I think I've been to like 4 or 5 YCSs and 1 nationals before this one, and I've been getting closer to topping, but I just haven't, and this was my first one, so I'm very pleased with it. I think hopefully this will lead to a few more, because I do feel like I've deserved one. Maybe not for like the whole time, but probably the past couple of tournaments. I feel like I've been underperforming, so to top it this one was great. This is going to be like a very in-depth deck profile where I discuss pretty much everything that I was thinking about with the construction of the deck, how it played out, and things like this. If you want just to see the list, look in the description, because the list will be there. I'm actually not going to show the cards, like hold them up to the camera and things like that as well, mainly because a lot of the dragon stuff is in my binder now, and I can't be bothered to take it all out and redo the deck in a nice aesthetically pleasing manner and then put it all back in, because I am going to be doing a binder video very soon as well. So if you want to watch just a quick deck profile video, because I have done that, then look at karakurikomachi's channel. I don't think the video is up now. It's not up now as of filming, but as the time that I'm filming. But knowing him, it will be up very soon, and it's a fun video anyway. We have a lot of banter and jokes, as we tend to do. But I don't discuss the things in as much detail in that video as I will in this video. This video will be like painstakingly long with me just discussing everything. So yeah, if this is what tickles your fancy, then stick around, because there is some weird stuff that goes on inside my head. But if you just want to see the list, then look in the description. And if you want to just watch a video of it where I just flick through the cards and discuss a couple of things, then as soon as karakurikomachi's video goes up, I'll put it in the description. But until then, just hold out and look at the list. But yeah, so I played Hieratic Ruler for the event, as I discussed in a couple of previous videos. So the reason why I played Hieratic Ruler, there are 2 things that I feel like I should discuss. Firstly, why I played it, and secondly, why I played it over Mythic Ruler. So the reason why I played Hieratic Ruler over everything else, I'll get to that in a bit. The reason why I felt it was better than Mythic Ruler, there are a few reasons. Firstly, if you look at my list compared with lists, firstly, other Mythic Ruler lists, it's more similar than one might think. They aren't that different. So in my build, there's the 4 rulers, 2 vanillas, debris, water, tree, 3 bandit, 1 trooper, 3 shrine, 3 upstart, 3 soul charge, 1 book, 1 compulse, 1 TT, 3 wind blast, 1 wiretap. That could all be put into a Mythic Ruler build, and that is genuinely 80% of the deck. It's just under. So the Hieratic engine is 11 cards, right? But the rest of that stuff could be put into Mythic Ruler, and like most of it is the 4 rulers, the 3 shrine, the 3 upstart, the 3 soul charged, and the traps. Not necessarily the cards that I opted to play specifically, but the structure is very similar to rulers, Mythic Rulers. So there isn't too much of a difference in this build, really, if you think about it. This isn't me like opting to play a lot of hieratic theme stuff. I wasn't playing Seal, I wasn't playing Dragard, because when I showed Connor the list that I produced before the event, the first thing he said was, "Oh, why aren't you playing Dragard?" No, I wasn't playing Dragard. I wasn't playing One Day of Peace or any of these regular hieratic cards. I wasn't playing Reckless Greed, and anything like that. It's very much like Mythic Rulers in that respect, and it should be. The thing that I have found from playing dragons over the past eight months, something like that, over the past 8 months, is that no, it hasn't been over the past 8 months, sorry, because dragons were good. Like, dragons were fully powered. Since I played them when the January 2014 list came out, which was December something, 2013, is that dragons are no longer like a deck on their own, right? They're an engine. The engine is like 3 shrine, 4 rulers, 2 vanilla, debris, and then whatever else you want to add on top. I like running water and tree, because it makes banishing Tidal and Redox productive, and because Flamvell is very good. So I would have that 11 card base as its own engine, right? But it's not a deck in and of itself, it's an engine. Obviously the rulers are the most powerful cards that we've seen in the game for a long time, if not for the whole of the span of the game. At least as long as I've been playing it. You know, rulers are the best thing that I've seen. Especially Blaster. Blaster is the best card that has been released for a long time, right? So obviously you want to try and make use of that. Now when looking at rulers, their strengths and weaknesses. The strengths are that late game and mid game, when you have a fueled grave, when you have the stuff to summon them, they're absolutely incredible, because it's just free cards. They defy the concept of card advantage, because they die and it means nothing, and they just keep coming back. They keep coming back. And obviously being level 7 is incredible for Synchros and Dracossack and whatnot. So mid to late game they're incredible. So what you would want to do is accelerate them into that stage as quickly as possible. That's why Mythic Rulers play a lot of Draw Power and Kuribandit and things like that, because it accelerates the early game, just bombards the grave, so that you can just spew dragons out as quickly as possible. That's the aim. That's the aim of the deck. That's what the engine and every complementary card outside of the ruler engine should do. It should embellish on the strengths of the rulers whilst covering up for their weaknesses. So again, 80% of the deck is the same. Oh, sorry, it's not 80%. It's 75%, my bad. 75% of the deck is the same. And so it should be, quite frankly. So it should be. Now, this is where we get into what you would run alongside the rulers as a sub-engine, right? So, Mythic Rulers work by running the draw cards, the dragon draw cards in Concentrating, and targets for those 2 cards. So, another water, a white stone, a blue eyes, 2 consonants, and 2 trading, which is not quite as many cards, but they only factor in things like 7-star sword as well. It pretty much takes up the same amount of space as the hieratics do. Now, objectively, if someone were to ask me, would you prefer drawing or special summoning, I would say drawing any day, because drawing provides you with more options, while special summoning is just pressure. But drawing is clearly better. Like, I shouldn't have to discuss why drawing is better than special summoning, right? So normally I would favor with the deck that draws more, you have to think about it further than that. So with regards to Mythic Rulers, you have to think about what are you drawing into? What are you drawing into? And you're either drawing into things that aren't immediately productive, which would be like additional Kuribandits, back row, because back row isn't immediately productive. At least not in terms of what I was saying before, in terms of trying to embellish the dragon engine by accelerating to the late game. Back row doesn't help with that. Back row just acts as defense. So drawing that might not be bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that drawing into back row is bad at all, but it doesn't help you immediately with the aim of accelerating your early game. It will just buy you a turn, or if you already have a good field, stop them from establishing their field on you, right? That's pretty rudimentary. So you'll either draw into things that aren't immediately productive, or you'll draw into things that are immediately productive. The things that are immediately productive, there are three, right? The first is more draw power. Now, if you draw into more draw power, it can be either immediately productive or not immediately productive. Because if you draw like a trade-in and you don't have a target for trade-in in your hand, then it's dead. But if you draw a trade-in and you do have a trade-in target, or vice versa, whatever, then that is productive. So it doesn't add anything to that argument either way, because either it can be good or it can be bad, but it's highly situational. So there's no point really factoring it in. It can be good or bad, and it's just an extension of the same thing. So like imagine it's a chart and it's like it goes there. With most things it's either like there or there, but then if it's more draw, then it just carries on and then does the same thing. So there's no point really thinking about that. And then you can draw into Soul Charge. Soul Charge is really important for Mythic Ruler, because it's really one of the only outlets for them to play. Because like Blue Eyes doesn't enable you to play, right? Having multiple Hieratics in your hand, you can play. You can do things outside of rulers. Like what a ruler's gonna do on their own. What is Blue Eyes gonna do on its own? And I love Blue Eyes, obviously. Blue Eyes is my best friend. If you're watching this, Blue Eyes and Blast are my best friends, right? But they're having a little feud in the Gardener household at the moment. But Blue Eyes, I love you, right? But really though, like what is Blue Eyes doing? It's not doing anything productive. It's just waiting to be fodder. The Mythics, they do things on their own if they are in tandem with one another, but you run one of each, so it isn't like you're going to be doing that a lot. And the more you run, the more inconsistent your hands will get most of the time, because Mythic Tree is just rubbish on its own. Water can do some things on its own, and it's a trade-in target, but you know it doesn't do anything on its own. So you're drawing into Soul Charge. Like you rely on Soul Charge a lot, but I don't think you should be playing suboptimal cards to warrant Soul Charge, right? If you think about the things you can do with Soul Charge, probably the best thing that I can think of is a 2-card shooting Quasar. Like, oh, so what? You can get Felgrand and Draco, but I can make a shooting Quasar and some other things. Like, but it's all relative, because you have to play bad cards in order to make the 2-card shooting Quasar, which makes it not worth it. By the same token, why would you run cards that aren't good, such as Blue Eyes, which is just nothing? It's never productive. It's always sitting in the hand, right? So you have to run other cards in order to make it productive. But why would you run suboptimal cards to make Soul Charge live? Soul Charge is the card which is pretty much always live, because it's Soul Charge, right? It's incredibly powerful and it's generic. So to draw into it quicker, you play bad cards to draw into a good card quicker. It doesn't make any sense. At least not to me. It doesn't make any sense to me, because it isn't like the benefits that you accrue from running the Mythics in tandem with Soul Charge, the things you can do off Soul Charge because you're running the Mythics and Blue Eyes, drastically outweigh the things that you can do in other decks. Sure, you can make Azurize, which is incredible. I think Azurize is the biggest boon that the Mythic Ruler build has, because it's absolutely incredible. But having access to Azurize and the rank 8s it isn't so exponential that you need to definitely do it over other things. Not even Hieratics, but things like Mermail, what they can do, because they could Soul Charge into like Gaios lovable chain engineer and random things like that, random fields like that, which are very good as well, almost just as good. It doesn't make that much sense to me. You can play Soul Charge without having to run bad cards, and Soul Charge is still just as good. You might see it a bit less, but your deck is more productive on its own. So I think that is more of a strength for Hieratics. And the other thing that you might draw into is Shrine, right? You can draw, or Shrine or Ruler, because they're effectively the same thing. So you can draw into Shrine or Ruler, right? Which is great, because more dragons. But then, think about that, right? You have the draw card and the draw card and the discard outlet for the draw card. And you draw into Shrine or Ruler or whatever. Now, let's replace that with 2 Hieratics. What can you make with 2 Hieratics? I don't know, maybe Atum. And what does Atum do? Atum gets you the Hieratic, gets you the Ruler, or whatever dragon you want, from your deck. Straight from your deck. So then the question doesn't become, would I rather special summon or draw? It becomes, would I rather search for the dragons or try to draw into the dragons? And in that case, the choice is clear. It's abundantly clear. I would rather just make an Atum and search a Ruler than I would play suboptimal cards. But even if they were optimal, play optimal cards, hoping to draw into the Shrine or the Ruler in order to send a dragon. When conversely, you can draw into things that aren't as good, right? As I said before, the things that aren't immediately productive. So out of the 3 outcomes that you would want from having draw cards, none of them are really that great, right? But this would be fine if the cards themselves that you were running were good, but the things that you're running aren't good. And this is evident because if you play Mythic Ruler, you can brick quite a lot. You can brick quite a lot. I think 3 out of the it wasn't 6. 3 out of the 5 games that I played against the Mirror that weekend, they lost because they drew bad, because their hand was too slow. And that's a problem with Mythic Ruler. Like, I think, yeah, in top 32, my opponent showed me his hand afterwards, because I OTK'd him turn 2. And he showed me his hand, and it was like Flamvell Guard, Blue Eyes, Burial. You're just running things that are conditionally useful. And for what? Like, this isn't me saying, well, you can open bad so the cards aren't worth it. That wasn't the argument that I started with. That's an argument that I'll probably bring into it, but that wasn't the argument I led with. I was expressing the best case scenario, which is you have the draw cards and you draw into the things that you want to draw. But even then, it's not as good as having things like Atum that can just get you straight from the deck, alright? But then even so, you can draw horribly in the Mythic build, right? And you brick more. Genuinely, you brick more. Like, I would implore you watching this video to play my build. Experiment with it as much as you want to, right? But just play that sort of structure and compare it with Mythics and see which deck bricks more. The deck, the Hieratic Ruler deck, when I've been playing with it, it just doesn't brick. It doesn't brick. There's one bad draw in the deck, and that's Labradorite Dragon. I drew Labradorite Dragon 7 times or something like that in this tournament. Like, really, I drew it more than I should have. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like, I won, I think, every game that I had Labradorite Dragon in my hand besides 1. Now, besides 2, I think. Because there was 1 where I had to tribute set it. Right, but really, I won almost every game that I had the Labradorite in hand. It didn't make my hand unplayable, right? Blue Eyes just sits there. And the capacity to dead draw on Mythics is a lot greater than it is in Hieratics. And I hate that. The reason why I'm playing Artifacts is because I've never drawn a bad hand with that deck. And well, obviously that's hyperbolic. I have drawn some bad hands, but you rarely do. You really rarely do. And that's the most important thing for me. Why I felt so disappointed with my top 16 loss was because I drew my hand in the last round, and it was like 2 Eset, Wiretap, Windblast, Trapstone, MST, and I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt, well, I had 1 play, right? So I felt like I had to just go for one play, and that was pretty it wasn't upsetting, but it was annoying. It was annoying. But even then, if that's my worst draw, like, it's better than the worst draw that Mythic Rulers would have. Honestly, like, you can just draw horribly in Mythic Rulers, and you don't as much in Hieratic. And then there's the fact that the engine that you run alongside Rulers, if you're playing Mythic Ruler, it isn't capable of doing things on its own, right? It isn't capable of doing things on its own. You just draw, which means that your power outlet either comes through Soul Charge or the Rulers. Soul Charge every deck can play, so you don't want to limit yourself to just being able to use Soul Charge. And the Rulers are obviously great, but say your opponent goes like set 3, set armor, or set or summon anything, and end, right? And your only offensive outlet is Rulers plus Soul Charge. It's limiting yourself. You can't break up established fields that easily with Mythics. That was a big problem I had. This is why Maxi is so important for Mythic Ruler, so important. And yeah, it's detrimental because Maxi, I'll talk about Maxi later, but Maxi is so important because you can't get past established fields outside of like Grinder. Grinder is your out to establish. Like, Grinder, man, come on. Detach 1 to pop a special summon monster is your out to establish fields. Really? Really? And Heliopolis. Alright, yeah. Heliopolis is good. Forgot about that. But even then, you're relying on Soul Charge and Rulers to create your plays. The Blue Eyes and White Stones aren't doing anything. The draw cards are just digging you quicker into your Rulers if they go off. And you have one Mythic play, which guess what? My build has as well. My build has one Mythic play. So we're even there. Right? I can make a Fell Ground with the Mythics as well. But when the Hieratics are in your hand, like, you can do things. You don't need the Rulers in order to do things. I had a few games where I just had a handful of Hieratics, right? And I was able to just win, basically. Just win. Just apply pressure. Which is another thing that I liked about the deck. What I liked about the deck was that I always felt empowered, really. I always felt like I could do things. Besides the last game. But other than that, like, every other time, I always felt like I had plays that I could do. I never felt inhibited. I never felt like I had to sit and wait for things. It was just biding my time before going off. I always felt like I had a balance of things. But yeah, going first, I felt like I could do more to pressurize the opponent than with Mythics. Because Mythics, like, you're either summoning Kuribandit and milling, or you're maybe making a Fell Ground. Very rarely. Very rarely you'll have like a brrr sort of play first turn, but sometimes you will. Generally, you just start slowly. And granted, I do that as well with the Hieratic build, but quite often I would make fields on the first turn. All you need is Eset and Su, and then you have Atum or whatever else you want, and then, you know, it's really easy. It's really easy to just establish a field. Like, I'll read out my tournament report or whatever, but there were quite a few times where I went first turn like Atum Dracossack or Atum Stardust or Atum Fellgrand, and you can't, like, if you're the opponent and your opponent's expended 3 cards, but now they have a grave with 1 to 2 Rulers in it and a field of like Atum Fellgrand, that's incredibly difficult to deal with. It's incredibly difficult to get past that. But what would Mythics do outside of drawing a lot and soul charging a lot? They wouldn't do anything, really. And what's worse is that Mythics can't really do anything going second. They can't break apart established fields. One of the reasons why I chose to play Hieratic Ruler was Black Crows. That was probably the second, maybe? It would have been in the top 3 biggest reasons as to why I chose to play the deck. Is because, like, everything is a 2-card Black Crows. Everything. If you have 2 Hieratics, that's a 2-card Black Rose. So, like, the biggest reason was probably Atum, I'm not gonna lie, but if they have no back row, then Atum gets you a Ruler. And then you have 3 Shrine and 3 other rulers, you've probably drawn into another one. Or you summon a Hieratic, and then drop another Hieratic, and do more things. Atum opens up a lot of plays. If they have no back row, then just do that. Go in, and either OTK or force them to deal with it. Or, if they do have an established field, you drop a Black Rose and kill it all. You blow it all up. Like, yeah, grind is great. Or you could Black Rose. Or you could destroy their entire field with 1 card, whilst fueling the grave full of dragons. The amount of times I'd just Black Rose a field, and then make a dragon. Like, people play into it so much. They play into it. Because Storm doesn't exist. So the hive thought process of like holding onto cards in your hand when you don't, it doesn't exist, right? So just Black Rose, boom, everything's gone. Everything's gone. What I like about the Hieratic specifically is that if they set a bunch of back row, the Hieratics will trade themselves for back row. Either they will, either the opponent will lose all the back row to Black Rose, right? Or they'll have the back row to deal with it. But in which case they're trading their back row for your monsters, right? Which means that back row won't be there for your rulers. If you're playing Mythics, then you're drawing. You're drawing fine. But their back row is still there. You activate your Soul Charge, their back row will still be there. You banish 2 for Blaster, their back row will still be there. It won't be there if I Black Rose. It won't be there if I start on the field trying to make something happen. Right? So that is one of the primary reasons as to why I played this deck. I think if I could summarize all of that, right? Drawing just doesn't do as much as Atum, really. Being able to Surge Dragons whilst pressurizing the opponent is better, in my opinion, than drawing. It doesn't brick as much. And you can break apart established fields really easily. In my mind, it was just like, I'd rather have Atum and Black Rose than like Dragluan and Grinder. And Azurize mainly. Like, Azurize is an amazing card. It's an amazing card, alright? I'm not going to understate how good Azurize is. It's absolutely incredible. But Atum is better. Really. Atum is incredible. Imagine if Atum were like a rank 7, right? And then think of these thought processes. Imagine how good Atum would be if you could just play in rulers as they are, right? Atom's incredible. And having access to Black Rose so easily is also incredible. So that's why I played it over Mythic Rulers. In my mind, it's clearly better. And this isn't me having gone out and done a lot of playtesting and everything. Like, this was just me like, well, this seems to make sense. And I'm not like a Hieratic fanboy or anything either. Like, I don't care for them at all. The first day that the January 2014 list came out, I brought Hieratic and Mythic Ruler to Karakurikomachi's house, and we played. And I was just drawing AIDS every time with Hieratics. And Will was like, why are you playing this deck? It's shit. And I was like, oh yeah, it is. So I stopped, right? I stopped playing it. So I'm not a Hieratic fanboy at all. But I can accept, and also it isn't my playstyle either. Like, Mythics are more to my playstyle. I prefer drawing, I prefer making fields and sitting on it. I'm not like I'm not the type of person who will just go like bleh and swing for game with everything. That's not me, really. But I accept that it's better, right? And if you disagree, I would implore you to like make a video response commenting on things, because I like to engage in wider discussion. Because I've discussed this with people, but no one has really raised any points that make any sense. Like, from my speaking with people, I've just gotten, oh well, Mythics are better, and then I'm like, why? And then nothing really comes out of that. They say, oh, because it won Richmond. It's like, yeah, but alright, I'll explain now. One of the reasons why I chose to play this deck in general is because this is a relatively undefined format. So I figured everyone would be playing either Mythic Ruler or things that just random stuff, right? If they were playing Mythic Ruler, then I would win. I would probably win, because I have the superior mirror match over Mythic Ruler. I would say that I win like 70 to 80% of the matches that I play against Mythic Ruler. Obviously, it's all relative. If I played someone who was really good with Mythic Ruler, then I'd probably not win, because I'm good, but I'm not. I'm okay. I'm okay. Alright, so that's how that would probably be. But against your average Joe playing that deck, I felt like my deck was the superior version. Obviously, I feel like it's the superior version, or else I wouldn't be running it. And if I felt like it had the worst mirror match, then I wouldn't be playing it. Yeah, it's weaker to Maxi, but you know, I don't care. I'm not dumb. Like I'm not gonna just be an idiot and play into the Maxi. Either I'll go for game if I feel like I have game, or I won't. And I got Maxi'd in the mirror, I think, like 7 times in 5 games. It was inconsequential every time. The only time I Maxi mad was in the Mermail game against Quincy. But that wasn't because of Maxi, it was because he had everything else. So, yeah. I wasn't afraid of Maxi or anything like that. Just don't be an idiot, and then Maxi is fine. What else could I have played? I could have played Mermail, but I didn't want to play Mermail. I could have played Gaia. I didn't want to play Gaia. Yeah, I had a good feeling about Rulers, and Rulers on my deck as well. So, I did feel it was the optimal choice. Yeah, I felt it was the most optimal choice in all honesty. Because if I played Mythic Ruler, I felt like I'd win. If I played Mermail, I felt like I'd win. Obviously, I didn't when I did play Mermail, but I felt like Ceteris Paribus, I'd have won. And against Rogue, I felt like I would win. I had a worse matchup against Evil Swarm, but doesn't matter. Like you have to risk it. And Bujin isn't a great matchup, but again, I felt like I would take that risk. I felt like if I played the mirror, I would probably win, and if I played Rogue, then I would definitely win. That was my mindset. So yeah, that's why I chose to play the deck. Now the choices in the deck, right? So this is over 30 minutes in, and I haven't even said a single card in the deck yet. All right, this is how in depth this goes. So start off with 3 Tefnuit, 3 Eset, 3 Su. I'm not playing Nebthet because you just don't need rank 5s. Firstly, you don't have the extra deck space, and more importantly, arguably, you don't want to run another vanilla and Cursive Dragon, right? So that was that. Eset, I varied between running 1, running 2, running 3. Running 3. And the reason why I went with 3 was because you just more hieratics means more plays, right? So when I run 1, I'm limiting myself in terms of the plays that I can make. You should just run 3 because it maximizes the amount of things that you can do. And you don't need to like condense the engine, because it isn't like drawing multiples is bad or anything. It genuinely means like the more you have, the more plays you can make, so that's great. Another thing I liked about the hieratics was that Su lets you pop back row. Mythic Rulers don't really have any way to destroy back row. Alright, so the 9 hieratics, that's cool. Then the 4 rulers, obviously. Flamvell Guard and Labradorite. I ran Labradorite because you could debris it back. I had to buy one, it was very upsetting. I drew it quite a lot, but it didn't matter. Like if I felt like drawing the Labradorite really hindered me, then I'd have ran a Luster Dragon or something instead. But from my playtesting, I would draw the Labradorite and it would suck, but it wouldn't suck to the point where I'd lose. I'd just discard it for Wind Blast or special it from the hand or something like that. It wasn't ever that bad. So being able to bring it back with debris came up more often than drawing it as a bad thing did. I debried it a couple of times, I think, so that was pretty cool. Then 1 debris, because Star Eater is incredibly important at the moment. I wouldn't see any need to run Corseska. I definitely wouldn't run Influence Dragon over Debris. I used to run Influence Dragon, but I found that there were more times where I'd have like a Tefnuit and an Influence than I'd have a Ruler and an Influence. So I wasn't going into Leo as much. So I dropped the Influence. Debris, yeah, Debris fine. Then one of each Mythic. I ran one of each Mythic, firstly because Fellground is incredible. You summon Fellground against most things and you win. It's very difficult to deal with. And also because it made banishing Tidal and Redox productive. What I found, not even just particularly pertaining to Hieratic Ruler, but just playing rulers in general, when I didn't run one of each Mythic, I found that just banishing Tidal and Redox was just bad. You know, it felt awful because nothing would come out of it, nothing positive would come out of it. And you don't want that. You want the dragons to replace themselves if you do banish them. So it made a lot of sense to run one of each. And yeah, it was great. Remember that you can Atum, like if you draw a Mythic, you can Atum the other part and make a Fellground. I did that a lot. So yeah, it isn't inconsistent in any way. Then what else? I ran 3 Kuribandit and 1 Trooper. Trooper was the 38th card. I ran 3 Kuribandit because fueling the grave is incredibly important, obviously. Dragons into the grave is fun stuff. And the Trooper was because obviously I had 3 Kuribandit in the main. I say obviously, but I'll discuss things later. But yeah, in my mind it was like, yeah, 3 Kuribandit and then 1 Trooper, just to act as another Kuribandit, but also because there are positive externalities to running Trooper, such as being able to debris it back, because Black Rose is great, being able to banish it for Redox, and the fact that it's just a better card on its own than Kuribandit. Yeah, running the 1 Trooper was productive in my mind. So yeah, that's the monsters. 22. I wouldn't make any changes. I played a Gauze in the main. It was the 40th card. The 40th card, there are about 16 cards, I think, that I varied between for the last slot in the deck. Gauze was one of them, but I didn't ever feel like I needed Gauze. I'd rather have something that would help me push rather than something that would only be productive if I was about to die. And even then, I'd probably rather have a back row than the Gauze. So that's cool. And I'm not running Maxi. I didn't run Maxi because in this deck, I'd rather have back row. Space is a bit tighter. And there's no need for Maxi like there is in Mythics, because you can break apart established fields really easily. And I'd just rather have back row. I'd rather have back row. Maxi is good against the mirror, but you know, who cares? I'd have rather had back row. I'd have rather run the traps that I opted to run and things like that, like Book, TT, and Compulse and the 3rd Wind Blast than Maxi. And then conversely, I could have played like I played 4 Boojin, so imagine if I had Maxi instead of traps, like it would have been 100% would not have topped if I played 3 Maxis. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Maxi in my build. So then spells, 3 Shrine, 3 Upstart, 3 Soul Charge. The 3rd Soul Charge isn't as obvious as it may seem. You can run 2. Because personally, I tend to hold on to the Soul Charges. I don't just go Soul Charge, because I find that if you're the first one to Soul Charge, you tend to lose, because you give them the opportunity to Soul Charge you back, and then in doing so, they will do it and break apart your field, and then you have no comeback card, because you've expended life points and you've used your Soul Charge. Which means that I tend to hold on to my Soul Charges. Unless, obviously, if I can do a lot, like, in this deck, you can do a lot with Soul Charge. You can go into double Atoms and things like this. Like, having 2 Hieratics and a Soul Charge is incredible. It's incredible, because you just Black Rose their field, Soul Charge for 4, and then end with whatever field you want, basically. Whatever field you want. And then you've won, really, at that stage. You've probably won. Things like that are incredible. But you also double draw it quite a lot. So that sucks. I think 3 is fine. I tested with 2, but I prefer 3. I'd run the risk of double drawing it to have it as an option. But yeah, just don't play it straight away. Think about when you're going to use it. I still think it's a fine card. It's alright to have in the game. We'll probably go to 1, but that's how that is. Then 2 Convocation, obviously in a book. Book was the first trap I put in. Don't know why no one else was running book. In a dragon format, the card that I would go to first is book. It's very good for obvious reasons. So I had no qualms about running book. I definitely run book. Don't know why none of you are running book. Run book. So that's 12. For spells, I had Gold Sark in the main at one point. Just found I didn't need it. It didn't do a lot. Generally, you just use it to get another mythic, but it would only be good in the early stages of the game. And you have Atum. You have Atum to search a dragon, so you don't need Sark to search a dragon, and you don't have to search a discard outlet. You don't have to search a discard outlet off the Sark like you would in Mythic Ruler, so it's not as good. I had a Foolish in there at one point. It was okay, but it was just okay. I felt that other things were better than it. Burial just wasn't needed. I had a Wing Beat in the main, but I figured it wasn't as good in the mirror. And I didn't want to run cards that were suboptimal in the mirror, even if I was expecting a lot of Rogue. I had an MST in the main, but I swapped it out for a Wiretap. Talk about Wiretap in a bit. Yeah. I'll discuss everything later, actually. So for the traps, I had 3 Wind Blast, TT Compulse Wiretap. I had 3 Wind Blast because Wind Blast is incredible. I preferred it to Raigeki Break, so why would I not just play 3 Wind Blast? You know, there was I couldn't think of a time where I'd rather have Raigeki Break besides Tenki. What's Tenki going to be? Bujin or Fire Fist? Bujin is already a bad matchup. Fire Fist is already an easy matchup. So I don't care for the Raigeki Break. I'd rather have the Wind Blast. Wind Blast is superior against the mirror and most other decks. So yeah, I'd rather have the Wind Blast. Wind Blast was incredible, obviously. It's a very, very good card. Wind Blast also mitigated bad hands quite a lot. The first thing I did when I built the deck actually was just put in 3 Wind Blast. So I thought, well, Labradorite will suck to draw. What can be productive as a card that discards? Oh, Wind Blast. So that was that. In my mind. TT and Compulse. Well, just because Warning and Bottomless aren't good in the mirror. Well, they're good going first, but Compulse is flexible, and I'm playing a flexible deck, so I think it's good to have cards that are flexible. I figured that I would want the Compulse more. Because there are interesting things that you can do with it. Like you can go into a Black Rose, and if they Fiendish Chain, you can Compulse it back to the extra deck and things like that. Random cute little things that I thought would make the Compulse better than Warning and Bottomless, which is sad because I obviously really like Warning and Bottomless. But yeah, I ended up going with the Compulse. I didn't regret it. It was good. TT is obviously good. So yeah, that was fine. And one Wiretap was my last card. Wiretap was incredible. Like I can't understate how good Wiretap was. Wiretap was a decision that I came to right towards the end of the locals I went to before. So at that point, I'd gone between Gauze and Foolish and MST and Trapstone and Wiretap in that 40th spot in the course of one day. So my friend Liu, good friend of mine, told me to play the Gauze. I put in the Gauze and I just didn't like it that much. I put in the Foolish. Foolish was okay. And I thought, you know, I'll test other things. I put in the MST. MST was pretty good. I thought, well, probably want the Trapstone. Then I put in the Wiretap. I put in the Wiretap because I figured that I'd be playing more Rogue than I would Mirrors. And I figured this because every time I've gone to a YCS and I've played a deck that isn't just cookie cutter mainstream, I get paired up against random stuff. So when I went to YCS London and I played Blue Eyes Ruler, it was still Dragon Rulers, right? But it just had the Blue Eyes engine in it. I got put up against the random things, right? And Will, my good friend karakurikomachi, he always just plays random stuff when he goes to tournaments. Like at Nats, he was playing Evil Swarms. He played against 2 Evil Swarm, a zombie. Like he went up against random things, random things. So I figured that Wiretap. Like obviously, I wasn't just going to change my deck thinking I'm going to be playing against Rogue so I didn't put in skill drain or things like this, right? Or wing beat, things like that. But Wiretap, in my mind, was good in the mirror, right? Trapstun would have probably been better in the mirror because of the way that the list that Hoban played, which means that the list that everyone was going to play was built like. But Wiretap is better against Rogue. Plus, I figured that if people started playing Trapstun in Dragons, which would have been a good meta call, then Wiretap would have been superior. As it turned out, Wiretap was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like every time I drew it, it was productive. Honestly, it's absolutely insane. It's so much better than 7 tools. And none of us know why. Like, me and karakurikomachi were just talking about how, like, it's so much better than 7 tools. But it doesn't make any sense as to why it's better than 7 tools. Right? But it's so good, honestly. The Wiretap was incredible. Honestly, like, I would say Wiretap was the best card in the deck. Easily the best card in the deck. Besides Blaster. But yeah, Wiretap. Oh my days. Wiretap was the 40th card. I didn't play Seal because Seal is bad. It just doesn't do anything. It's too contingent on other things. You don't need it. It's a bad card. I didn't play. What else could I have played? I had a lot of things that I thought I might have played. I've talked about Maxi. MST, Wingbeat, Trapstun, Gauze, Scarecrow, same reason as Gauze. Fader, same reason as Scarecrow, albeit slightly better. Fader's better than Scarecrow, by the way. Dyna, because I didn't want to run a card solely for the contingency that I played in the mirror. Dyna is a good meta call if you are in a very dragon heavy format though. Influence I've talked about. Corseska I think I talked about. There's no point running it. Dimensional Prison was something that I was considering, honestly. Because D-Prison, like, no one sees it coming in the mirror. Like, yeah, attack with Blaster, you're like, D-Prison? But yeah, I figured that people don't summon their dragons and just swing as much as they used to. Skill Drain I've talked about. Emptiness, I didn't see any point. Again, it's too mirror focused, and the way I am with this build is like I let them come at me and then counterattack. So Emptiness would only be good after they've established some board presence and then hit, and then I've come back and broken it. So it didn't seem that optimal. Talked about Bottomless Warning. Divine Wrath seemed cool, but not cool enough. Enemy Controller was too mirror focused, but I sided it. I think that's it. Mirror Force, just I didn't want to run it. Breakthrough Skill, I didn't want to run it. Velo, oh yeah, Velo was something that I was really considering as well, because Velo's great. I would recommend if you're playing Mythic Ruler actually just running a Velo or two. It's very good. Or trying it, because I can't comment on things that I don't know as much about. Velo probably would have been like my second choice for that 40th slot in the main. Like really, I'm a fan of Velo. It does a lot. But yeah, that might as well be everything. If you're wondering why I didn't run anything, then just post it. I'll talk about it, because I've probably forgotten things. Like 7-star sword, you know, I'm just not gonna run it. It's not optimal. It doesn't do anything in my build. Yeah, that's the main. If I can make any changes to the main, one change, which would be I would drop a Kuribandit for another Wiretap. Because Wiretap, like every time I drew it, it was just incredible. I wanted more of it, man. I wanted more of it. Well, Kuribandit, I'd double draw it quite a bit and it would suck. I'd Kuribandit into another Kuribandit and it would suck. And the reason why I'm running a Trooper over the third Kuribandit is because I do like the things that you get out of Trooper. I think that in that case the variance is fine. Not with the Wind Blast Raigeki Break thing, right? Because in that case, there's no point in me running. I'm just going to adjust my position. I'm getting awkward. There is no point in me running the Raigeki Break over the third Wind Blast, right? Because I don't get anything from the Raigeki Break, realistically speaking. Realistically speaking, I get things from running Trooper over the third Kuribandit. So that's why I'd keep a Trooper, run 2 Kuribandit, and a second Wiretap. Wiretap was just the stones, and I love it. That was the best thing from this weekend, just being able to use Wiretap. Then the extra, so the extra 2 Dracossack, wouldn't run less than 2. Gaia Dragon, my 16th card would have been another Gaia Dragon probably. Actually, it would have been an Exeton. 17th card would have been another Gaia Dragon. But unfortunately, you only have 15. So 1 Gaia Dragon it was. And a Big Eye. Then 2 Atum. Atum was the 15th card. It's incredibly important. I make the second quite a lot, so it made sense to run 2. Ptolemy, because it's the best rank 6. And Gauntlet. Gauntlet was good. Gauntlet was good. I had to buy one for the event, but I did quite a lot. Maybe I should have considered running a Strike Bouncer a bit more, actually. I might have done it. Because I'd imagine, like, soul charging into a Strike Bouncer is pretty cool. And it means you can do more with the Hieratics just on their own. I might have done that. But I didn't, and I don't regret not doing it. So that's fine. Then 1 Felgrand. It's best rank 8. I didn't feel the need for Heliopolis or anything. Obviously Heliopolis would have been just insane when it went off, but no, I ran the Mythics for Felgrand. Didn't want to run another rank 8 because I'm only going to make 1 realistically. Then Black Rose, maybe would have liked another one, but that would have been like 18th, like 19th card or something like that, so nothing too urgent. Colossal, Crimson, Scrap, Stardust, and Star Eater. I had tried and Dragon for a while because I didn't have a Gauntlet Launcher until I bought one. I had tried and Dragon in the main for a little bit. It was okay. But yeah, Gauntlet was better. Nothing I'd really change in the extra. Again, I'd add things if I could. I would have liked to have had an Exeton, a Gaia Dragon, an Armory Arm, a second Black Rose, Abyss Dweller, probably in that order. But no, the extra deck pretty much built itself, to be honest. Then the side deck. Side deck was not as meticulous as mine normally are. I just threw some things together. I was testing some things. So I had 1 Fader, 1 Diner, 1 Mation, 1 Vampire Hunter, a Wingbeat, 2 Enemy Controller, 2 MST, a Bottomless, 2 Skill Drain, Warning, and Trap Stun. So I started out thinking, what would I side for the mirror? And that would change depending on whether I'm going first or going second. So going second, because I assumed that I would win game 1. Going second, I would side in 1 Fader. I sided Fader because it's better than Scarecrow, because Felgrand and Star Eater are prevalent in the meta. Therefore, Fader is better, and people aren't playing Warning as much either. So yeah, it's pretty clear that Fader is the better choice there. 1 Mation. Unfortunately, Mation was just rubbish. I drew it twice, and both times it was Blaster fodder. One time it was Wind Blast fodder, actually, so yeah, it wasn't as good as it used to be, which is a shame, because I do love Mation, but it just wasn't doing anything. Then 2 Enemy Controller. I side Enemy Controller because it's very good in the mirror. Enemy Controller is just a good mirror match card, but obviously if you tribute the Hieratics to steal something, you get the effects. So it enables a lot of plays. You can steal their cards and do things, and it's just better than Virus because it is an exclusive to what you can steal, and it's just a good card on its own. So, yep. Enemy Controller is good there, and I think I put in 1 MST as well. Going second. Going first, I would side in. I don't think I ever did go first in the mirror. I don't think I did. Oh yeah, 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 because I went to game 3 in top 32. I sided in 1 Diner, 1 Bottomless, 1 Warning, 1 Trapstun. So pretty basic there, just the cards that are good going first. Now, in terms of like my thinking with that, I side a lot of one-offs. I side one-offs because like, even though things, it doesn't make any sense objectively that I would side like 1 Diner, hoping to draw it because it's only good going first. Like, I should be running 3 because I want to see it early game, but I don't want to draw multiples. I'd hate to draw multiples, and as it is, like, I may not be siding 3 Diner, but I'm siding 4 cards that I would want to see going first. So I'm essentially siding 4 of the same thing. Obviously, they're not the same thing, but if I were to draw 1 of them, I would be happy with it. So, like, if I draw a Diner in my opening hand, but not Bottomless Warning or Trapstun, I wouldn't care that I didn't draw Bottomless Warning or Trapstun. Or if I were to draw Warning and not Diner, I wouldn't care that I didn't draw Warning. Sorry, that I didn't draw Diner, because the things that I would draw instead would compensate. But it means I don't double draw. So if I were to draw multiples, like if I were to open Diner, Bottomless Warning, Trapstun, all 4, then that's good, but opening triple Diner would not be good, obviously. So that's how I like to side. I think you have to think about things like that, just in terms of ratios and card choices you run. Obviously, the better, like if you want to see a card in multiples, then run it multiples, but be aware of the fact that you can double draw them. That's why I didn't run like 3 skill drain and things like this, but I'll discuss that. So yeah, that was fairly rudimentary. The Trapstun, I wouldn't have sided if I could look back on it. Even before the tournament, I was a bit like, why am I siding the Trapstun? But again, I wasn't too meticulous about it. I just threw some things together. I never saw the Diner. Then going, I didn't really think about Mamel too much. Mamel, I think I brought in like enemy controllers and MSTs and Trapstun, which obviously bummed me a little bit in the last game. What else? Evil Swarm was Mataion, Vampire Hunter, because I didn't like Mataion. I did some testing against the Evil Swarm because karakurikomachi was a very good Evil Swarm player. I was testing him. Obviously, I'd lose most of them, but Mataion just wasn't doing anything. So I thought, well, I'll play Fire Ferret or something. But because in my mind, I didn't want to make room for hands. I didn't think I had enough room for hands. But then I thought, well, I'm gonna side Fire Ferret. I might as well give Vampire Hunter a try. Vampire Hunter is like a catastrophe for darks. So I thought, well, I might as well do that. It's actually quite difficult for them to get over it. They have to like honor arc and then run over it or something like that, which is obviously incredibly suboptimal. Yeah, it's difficult for them to get over it, so I thought I would test around with that. I didn't play any Evil Swarm. I didn't see the Hunter, but it was the best card on my side easily. Because it hunts vampires, you know, it just kills them, so it's great. And 2 skill drain. 2 skill drain. Then Gaia, 2 skill drain. Oh yeah, obviously I'd side in like Warning for Evil Swarm as well. Gaia, Jinzo was... I put in Jinzo for Gaia, not for Chain Burn. Obviously it was good for Chain Burn. Won me a game against Chain Burn. But it wasn't there for Chain Burn, it was there for Gaia, because if you summon it against Gaia, it's very difficult for them to deal with. They have very few outs. They have to either Maestro Kit or Gemini Pearl it, which is difficult for them to do. None of the rank 3s are going to get over it, besides Zen mains. So yeah, it puts them in an uncomfortable position. But yeah, obviously it's incredible against Chain Burn as well. Then what else for Gaia? Skill drains. And then the variety thing. So like, the thing with the back row hate, so Wing Beat, Trapstun, I'd side in Trapstun going first, Wing Beat going second. I'd vary between the amount of MSTs that I'd side in. It was relatively holistic. Boojin, I didn't think I'd play as much as I did. But yeah, I didn't think about anything else too much. I mean, I did, like, I wrote out, I'll show you now. I wrote down all the ins and outs of what I'd be siding. So, like if you can see there. So, like, I don't think you can see that at all. God damn, you can't see that at all. Oh, that's disappointing. But if I were to read it out, it would be like Evil Swarm first, and then everything I do, and second everything I do, Boojin everything I do. It says Boojin +1 Wing Beat, +2 MST, +1 Bottomless, +2 Skill Drain, +1 Warning, -1 Compulsory, -1 Upstart, -1 Soul Charge, etc. So you understand that I did think everything through, but I wasn't too concerned about everything besides the mirror, Mamel, Gaia, and Evil Swarm. So to run through everything else in the side, Wing Beat was really good when I did see it. I did like a Pro Storm Wing Beat thing, that was awesome. But yeah, I am a huge fan of Wing Beat. It's really good. I wouldn't run more than one though, because I'd hate to draw multiples of it. That's a really good one-off. MST. Alright, the reason why I sided 2 MST and 2 Skill Drain is because I thought about when I would side more than 1 MST or more than 2 MST, more than 2 Skill Drain. Never came up. I'd only side in more than 1 Skill Drain against Evil Swarm, but I didn't want to overside. Which is good because I never saw an Evil Swarm. And I'd only side in 2 for like Evil Swarm, Gaia, Boojin. The thing with back row hate is you don't want to overside in a deck like this, because then you just draw hands full of side deck hate. And this isn't a deck where you have like cards that are good on their own. Everything works in tandem with each other. It is a combo deck. Otherwise, you end up with hands like I did in the final round against Quincy and stuff like that. So, that's not good. Enemy controller was fine. Then, Bottomless Warning, obviously, if I'm going first against things that they're good against. Skill Drain for most things other than the mirror. 1 for most things other than the mirror, and then 2 for things where I think that the second will help. And Trapstun was for going first, Wing Beat was for going second. If I can make changes to the side, I would drop Fossil Diner, Vampire Hunter, Nation, and Trapstun, just because they were the least productive cards on my side. And I would put in 2 Fire Hand, 2 Ice Hand, because they are good on their own, and they're very good cards. I'm a huge fan of them. So yeah, that's the deck. I think that is everything that I needed to go through in terms of individual choices. So I'll read out my tournament report. Why not? This video is long enough as it is. Oh, I have to find the report now. Yeah, there'll be a video diary coming up as well later. So round 1, I played Boojin. I played 4 Boojin. Alright, so I played 4 Boojin, 1 Infernity, 1 Chainburn, 1 GB, 1 Raccoon, 1 Dragon. I can't remember what I just listed, how many I listed. I think that was 9 for day 1. Then day 2 I played a Dragon and a Mermail, losing to the Mermail, top 16. If I thought I would play this many Boojin, I would not have played Dragons, even though I beat every Boojin. Alright? So, Boojin isn't a good matchup. I beat them all, right? But it's not a good matchup, and I'd have played Gaia, honestly, if I thought that I would play this many Boojin. Boojin has a good Dragon matchup. So, I wasn't, like, lucky or anything, particularly, to win my matchups. I was lucky to win, I think, one of them. But at the same time, like, it isn't a good matchup. It isn't a good matchup. And if I thought I'd have played 4, then I wouldn't have played this deck. Oh yeah, and Infernity as well. I played Infernity. That was my loss. So round 1, Bujin went first, made Atum plus Felgrand. It was too much for him to handle, as next turn I bombarded him with dragons. So I went first and summoned Atum plus Felgrand, right? That's what this deck can do. Game 2, he went first, Yamato with back row, adding Honest off Duality and going add Crane, Mill Turtle in end. I black rosed and made Atum plus 2 Dracossack. So yeah, he probably thought he had the tits. It's like, yeah, I got Yamato, I have Turtle, Crane, Honest, he's not getting past me. No, all gone, right? Round 2, Bujin went second. She went first turn Yamato and back row. I set 2 and passed with a Kuribandit into book. I spun a Susa on summon and OTK next turn. Game 2, she went Mecha plus 3 set end. I dropped Tef, which met bottomless. I convoed into another and dropped Su to make Atum. She booked it. I summoned Trooper and milled 3, but a chain, Fiendish Chain, stopped the suicide. She went for Susa, and I spun it with a Wind Blast. I then hit for 42 next turn and ended with a Draco that she cleared in her turn. And then I big-eyed the Mikazuchi for game. At this point, I'm XO 4-0 in terms of games. Round 3, I played GBs. A GB guy was XO at this point, which was kudos to him, you know, kudos. Game 1, I went first. I made Atum plus Draco with Wiretap and Wind set. He summoned Aquarian, I spun it, and I won next turn, obviously. I wasn't going to lose with that setup. Game 2, I took a few hits. I was attacking with some stuff to set up, and basically I had the way to make black rows, right, and I was gonna. Then I drew the Wiretap, and he had 3 back row. So I thought, well, the probability of one of them being Chariot is quite high. So I'd rather, like, I wasn't in a position where I was going to lose next turn. I don't think. Because I know he had a bear, and he had a bear in hand and a Kagutsuchi in the field, but I didn't think he would game me, right? So I thought, well, you know, I'll just let him do whatever he wants. I'll take whatever damage. Set the Wiretap, and then I'll Black Rose him next turn. And that was what happened. I went to 500, and then I Black Rose the field. Turns out he didn't have the Chariot, but it was still the right play. Because if he did have the Chariot, then the Wiretap would have gone in. And I big-eyed the Kagutsuchi, so I won. In round 4, I played Infernity. So, I go second with 5 Hieratics in hand. It was Tefnuit, Eset, Susu. So he goes set like 4 or something. I summon Eset, he TTs. Then he does some Infernity stuff, right? And I know that he has Barrier set. I think that's the only one that is public knowledge to me that he has set. So, I special Tef. I tribute Tef to summon Su. He negates the effect of the Tef in grave. I tribute the Eset, I think, in my hand. I think I had another Eset in my hand, or Su. I tribute a Hieratic that isn't Tefnuit in my hand. And I pop a back row. I get Labradorite or something, and he does something. I'm left with no monsters on the field. But the barrier's gone, right? So I go drop Tefnuit, tribute summon Tefnuit, make Black Rose, blow up the field. And then swung with Blaster because he soul charged. And then I won. Won game 1. Game 2, he went first and looped on me. Wasn't much I could do. Game 3, I opened Labradorite with Tefnuit, Shrine, Soul Charge, Wiretap, and Compulse. So I Shrine into like Blaster and Guard, I think, and then charge into Stardust. That was probably a misplay. It was probably a misplay. I probably should have just Shrined for Guard and a Hieratic, then Soul Charged both of them, Tribute summoned. Oh no, the Labradorite was in my hand. Alright. Yeah, I should have carried on even though the Labradorite was in my hand. So Tribute summoned Tef. Used Tef to special summon Labradorite. Overlay for Atum. Detach for Atum, get a Ruler, Synchro Stardust. That's what I should have done. Because like the hand wasn't that great, and I didn't have Wind Blast, so I didn't need to conserve cards in my hand, so I should have just like gone in, try and done that with the Wiretap and Compulse set. But I went for the safer field of Stardust, right? So he managed to push through anyway. Push through the Compulse. and he honor arcs the Stardust. And next turn I special Tefnuit and Wiretap the Infinity Break, and I tribute set Labradorite, special the guard. And at this point I'm doing okay because he can't really do anything. But then he tops deck Arcfiend. I'm like, fuck my life. And he diamond dies the set Labradorite. So his end field is Arknight, Levier, Level Chain with 2 back row. Both of them I know are Infinity Break. And I have a Wind Blast set with no cards in hand, right? Because I topped the Wind Blast. At this point, right, I know that I can't win or do anything unless I get rid of both breaks. So I'm on 2-4. So I draw. I draw Convocation. I activate Convocation, search for Tefnuit. And then I start, I'm like, main phase 1? He's like, okay. So I'm like, I'm on 2-4, so then like I start flicking my set, looking through my grave. I'm like, you know, and then I'll get this and this. Then he thought it was a soul charge, so he broke my set before I could use soul charge, and then I flipped because it was Wind Blast, spun his break to the top of his deck, but I lost anyway. So I went X1 at this point, which sucked. Around 5 I played Chainburn. Game 1 I went first. He didn't know that Fell Grand stopped Scarecrow. The worst thing about that was that he called Judge, and then Judge said that, yeah, Scarecrow does work with Fell Grand. And I was like, are you serious? Come on, you're a judge, man. You should... Oh, Jesus Christ. Obviously, I didn't say that. I thought it. So I called head judge, and it was Anthony Whitey who knows what he's talking about. So he wrote that in my favor. But yeah, I won game 1 quite easily. Chainburn is just a joke. Like, every time... Chainburn is meant to be a bad matchup, but it's not. It's a joke. Just learn how to play against Chainburn. It's really easy. So yeah, I smashed that. Then game 2, I didn't really have a whole lot. But I topped the Jinzo, turn 2. Just kept attacking, put him on 800. Then he sacked the Jinzo for Volcanic Queen. And I was like, oh cool, Volcanic Queen, nice. So then I sent a card of mine to the grave to burn him for 1,000 for game. So I burned him with his own card for game, that was great. Round 6, I played Raccoons. I lost game 1. I went second. He went pawn into tan with 2 set. I felt like I had to go for the Black Rose at this point. I could have waited a turn. I had Wiretap in hand. I thought, nah, I have to do it right now, which was a misplay. I should have set the Wiretap and just Black Rose anyway. But actually no, I shouldn't have, because he'd have gone the guy and popped my set. Should have been Wiretap. So yeah, making the Black Rose was the right play. But he had the Fiendish Chain. He put stuff on the field, but I came back with things. I lost because my Kuribandit milled 4 spells and traps, so I didn't have enough fuel for the Dragon's Lair. He soul charged into 4 and then tributed 3 for Barbaros and blew up my field. I lost. Game 2. I tried. I'm about to do some mad stuff on the first turn, but he Veilers. And then he Obedient Schooled, and I just have a Wind Blast set, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. Because I could get past like 1 Exceed, but not 2. I couldn't get past 2 Exceeds. But he goes into 3 level 2s, and then normal summons Key Mouse and makes Naturia Beast for some reason. I was like, yeah, cool, just spun it to the top of his deck. And by top of his deck, I mean his extra deck. Then I win. In game 3, he set 2 with a monster, and I just went and crushed his field. Then I won. So round 7 was against the Mirror, Mythic, obviously, I'm not Hieratics. So the opponent led with a set, and he used 3 Max Cs this game. So after the second Max C, and him not doing anything, it was quite clear I was playing the Mirror, right? So on the third Max C, he maxed when I used the effect of Attributed Hieratic having summoned Su. He draws 1, so I have Su and Labradorite. I poked for 2/2 with Su. He dropped Gauze. I made Gauntlet Launcher, pop both, and next turn I just summoned 2 dragons and attacked. So yeah, nothing really happened there. He had 3 Maxi and a Gauze, and the deck was still too slow to do anything. So yeah, why I didn't play Mythics is quite evident. Then game 2, he led with Eset. I tried to bandit, but he winged it. Next turn, he dropped Tidal and Felgrand. If he negated his own Tidal, he'd have won, because obviously Tidal bounced in the end phase. If he just negated the Tidal, he would have won. Instead, he didn't. Tidal went back to the hand. He didn't have enough fodder to summon it again, so I had the opportunity to Kuribandit. He didn't negate the Kuribandit either. So I got to mill, and I ended up coming back with my own Felgrand, and he had to store Mation for 2 turns. So he used one of his maxis already. Then he summoned Mation and ended. So I drew and like ended. Mation went back to deck, summoned another Mation. So it was just 2 Upstart Goblins basically. He just stalled for 2 turns. Oh, it was 2 one-day pieces actually, because I got to draw. So yeah, Mation did nothing for him either. I just blasted away my Mation in that match. But then yeah. Afterwards, he shrined, because he had Emptiness. He used Emptiness on my Soul Charge, I think, because of that game I had 2 Soul Charges and both were dead for most of it. He shrines, right, to get rid of the Emptiness, and he has Tidal in hand. If he sent Blaster, because he had enough fuel for 2 dragons, if he sent Blaster to the grave, then he would have won, right? Because I had one set, but it was Soul Charge, it was a bluff. So if he just banished 2 for Blaster, banished 2 for Tidal, suicided the Blaster and the Felgrand, and then attacked directly with Tidal, he'd have won. But, because I was on like 1400, but instead he made a Star Eater and attacked. Oh, sorry, I was on 1800. Instead he sent Tempest, banished for Tidal, searched Debris, made Star Eater and attacked. But then I just made Atum and Big Eye and stole it. And then he Soul Charged into 3. At this point, I thought that he was scooping, so I showed him my TT, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm not scooping." I was like, "Okay." And then he Soul Charged into 3, and I TT'd, so I won, because I had the Fat Grave, because I'm playing a good build. So at this point, I know that I'd won the Bujin map, which is pretty great. Then round 8, I played against Bujin, and I can't get past Yamato back row basically. He had Yamato Emptiness. Can't do a whole lot. Game 2, I can't remember what happened honestly, but I probably just busted nuts and won. In game 3, he opened Yamato, Tenki'd into Mikazuchi, Emptiness, TT, and something, right? Which is obviously really good. So I have to sit back for a little bit, take a few hits, and then I end up topping a Flamvell Guard and I have Blaster in my hand. So I discard 2 to Emptiness face up at this point. So I discard the Blaster and the Guard to blind hit one of the back row. That back row happened to be TT, which enabled me to Soul Charge into a big field. I went like Big Eye and Felgrand or something. Alright, so he went first with Yamato. I drew. I set Book in something and ended. I think I set the Soul Charge as a bluff probably. He summoned Mecha, attacked with Mecha. I took it. He attacked with Yamato and I booked the Yamato. So then I managed to pop the Yamato. He had Herringrave. I managed to pop the Yamato because it was set. And then I don't know why, but like he had a Crane in hand. I knew that, and he had a Herringrave. For some reason he was like, oh yeah, you gotta make a Dracossack, right? Expecting that I would do that, and then you get to banish the hair and save it, and I was like, no, I'll just Big Eye it. So yeah, I won. He couldn't deal with it. Can deal with Felgrand plus Big Eye plus Mikazuchi. Unsurprisingly. So my first top was secure at this point, which was great. Then round 9 I played Bujin again. So I got a random deck check. We were both fine. We were both fine. Okay, we were both fine at this point. I go second. He goes Yamato with 5 sets. And I had like 2 Wind Blast and a Wiretap. I started Wind Blast and a Wiretap, and he blind MST'd the Wiretap, which was what I needed in order to get past everything. So that sucked. Then game 2, I pushed for game with Felgrand and 2 rulers after dealing with his Bujin stuff adequately via Black Rose. And I saw Skill Drain but didn't use it, because that was the first time I saw Skill Drain the whole tournament.
but I didn't use it. I remember I set it, but I Black Rose the field anyway, and then just the maths, right? The maths, it was like 2-8 plus 2-8 plus 2-6, which was enough for game. Game 3, he goes Yamato set 2. I open Su, Wing Wind, Wing Beat, MST, Skill Drain, Shrine. I Shrine into Garden Blaster, then set Wing Beat and Wing Wind. He summons Bear, which I spin, and I take the Yamato attack. I discarded Su. And I top Soul Charge. And I was like, I topped it. So I activate it, right, to bring back Su, Garden Blaster, and he maxes. At this point, I only have Wing Beat set, so I flip the Wing Beat, I bounce Su back to my hand, and then brrr, the back row dies. And then I set Skill Drain MST, and I win, because I just keep attacking with Blaster under Skill Drain. So I think I handled that really well. So at this point, I was 5th after Swiss, which was great. Then the Sunday, 2 more games. Top 32 was against Mythic, the Mirror. So game 1, I lead with Kuribandit into Shrine and Wiretap plus Charge, Soul Charge set. He MSTs both of them, so he main 2 MST. And Shrines plus Charges into Azure. So he Shrined Sending Guard and Blue Eyes, and then charged into Azure Eyes. I topped the Wingman, which was obviously really convenient. So I Shrine into, because I got the Shrine of the Kuribandit, I Shrine into Labradorite plus Tempest, and I set Wingwind, and then in his draw phase I spin the Azure. Now nothing really happens for a while, and then he Soul Charges into Azure and Star Eater with Emptiness set. I know it's Emptiness set because he revealed it off Kuribandit. Then I Blaster the Emptiness because I had Guard in hand, and make Atum and Star Eater, and run over the Redox. And then I have more colors. So he ran over my my Atum with Star Eater, but because I had more colors than he did, I ended up winning, because Atum is a very good card. In game 2, he leads with a set. I have hieratic stuff, but he maxes on the Eset, so I just attack for 2200 with Econ and Wing set. I'm forced to use the Econ because he has Redox and a tuner. So I tribute the Labradorite to steal the tuner. I end up losing basically to debunk because he had 3 back row, I popped 2 of them via Su and something. I don't think it was Wing Wind. I spun 1 and sued the other. I banished 2 for Blaster, and the one that was left was debunk, so I lost. Like I ended up making double Atom and Colossal, still, but he pushed through that and won. So in game 3, I lead with first turn. I go 2 Atom into Tidal. My hand was Eset, Susu, and a couple of other things. So if he had the maxi, I would have been in pretty bad shape, because I really needed just to like brrr and make as much as I can on the first turn. And it was very close to time of the round, so I was aware of time of the round. I just wanted to commit to the field as much as possible. So yeah, I could only really play aggressively with that hand. He Sarks into Blaster, adding Guard, and then he Kuribandits into Torrential, and time is called in his end phase. But he has 2 sets. So I loop Su. How did I loop Su? I detached, got Su from the deck, tributed a hieratic from hand to pop 1 of his sets. I then got Labradorite. I then overlaid for Ptolemy. I detached Labradorite to add Su engraved to my hand. I tributed the no material Atom to special summon Su. I then detached for the Atom with material to get something from my deck, either a hieratic or a ruler, and then I tributed either the hieratic that I summoned or Atom to pop the last back row. And at this point he had no back row, so I OTK'd. He showed me his hand of Blue Eyes, Burial, Guard, and random other crap, and that's why I didn't play Mythics. And then top 16 I played against Mau Mau, Jake Quincy playing Mau Mau. So game 1 we get deck checked, and basically I have a coloured in Colossal. I don't have it now. I had a coloured in Colossal, and the judge came over to me and said, "Oh, you can't use this because it's coloured in." and I was like, well, okay. I wasn't aware of that, to me, because it doesn't alter the text, it doesn't go into the text. You can still clearly see what the image is. In my mind, it's perfectly legal, but fine, I'll change it. And then the judge was like, okay, oh, but by the way, you have a game loss. And I was like, what, a game loss? A game loss? Are you kidding me? Appealed the head judge straight away. And the head judge said, alright, you have a warning. So, yeah, warning. I was fine with that. At least it wasn't a game loss. Yeah, so I had a pretty average hand, but he had like maxi. He had 2 maxi, but not just 2 maxi. He had back row and mammal stuff. So he just outpaced me, and I lost. In game 2, I opened 2 Eset, Wiretap, MST, Trap Stun, and Wind Blast. So I summon Eset, set Wind Blast and Wiretap, and ends. He summons Janet's controller and attacks, and I Wind Blast it, and then blind MST is Decree in the end phase. So I tribute summon Eset, like obviously I blind MST because I have Wiretap. I tribute summon Eset, and he maxes the search for Labradorite. Attack for 19. He goes for the Abyss and I Wiretap it. And then next turn he has Dragoon's Teus, so I get completely bummed because he has Draco and Leo, so there's nothing I can do to that. So yeah, that was all. I went 22-7 in terms of games, 20 wins, 7 losses, which is okay. So yeah, first top, had a lot of fun. Yeah, very, very long video. So if you watched it all the way through to this, then kudos to you. You are a good person. I'm tired filming it. I'm exhausted. That's everything. That's everything that I would want to discuss. I had a lot of fun. It was good. Proud of the deck. The deck was my friend. The Blaster, great guy. Love him. Miss him. And yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stuff. I'll be putting up more things. I'll be putting up a video diary when I get the time to compile everything. That should be over the next couple of days. And I'll be doing a binder video as well. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.